Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here. How's it going? I hope everyone's well wherever you are. Obviously back in another video. I hope this one uploads properly this time because I don't know what happened last time to my last one. But yeah, for September, if I can, also, I suppose obviously they're gone, but July, August and September are the 3 months which I hoped to talk about ideas for empowering Indigenous people from across the Americas. And I'd love to empower them in areas like politics, getting political representation, working together. I'd love to unite them together first of all, perhaps, and then unite them with their allies, potential allies who could support them, such as people of colour and people like that, which I hope to talk about in future videos as well for the rest of this month, hopefully all being well before October. And also like Indigenous people from the Americas, I'd love to support them. Like I'd love to fundraise for them if I could, and possibly work with others to fundraise for them to be able to set up their own YouTube channels. So Indigenous people, Native or Indigenous or whatever term you want to prefer to use, Indigenous, First Nations, Indigenous, Native, homogenous, original, real, true, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, I use those terms all interchangeably so that they can like make their own YouTube videos and own social media accounts and things like that. And I'd love to support them on it, especially like YouTube, TikTok and things like that. And also business, like supporting Indigenous people for the Americas in business. I'd also love to listen to Indigenous people from across the Americas, again, whatever term you prefer to use, First Nations, Indigenous, Native, homogenous, real, true, or whatever terms you want to use. I'd love to listen to them, so listening to what their goals are, what they want to achieve, what they believe in, whether it's financial or whatever. I'd love to support them. The only way I can think of supporting them is financial, but also probably listening to them and what their goals are and how to help them achieve their goals. Like, for instance, working with organisations to provide tech training or training in STEM generally, is what I meant to say, to support them in areas like STEM, political representation, possibly to have their own group which represents them with them and their allies, representing Indigenous people from across the Americas, all over the Americas, politically, so they can have support when they talk about land disputes and other things like that. I suppose for a lot of Indigenous people from across the Americas, it's more like sacred land or things like that. So obviously it's something that probably is not something that is important to me, except for that I only find it important because it's important to them. So I'd love to empower them as it was their land originally, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, so yeah, I'd love to support them in business because I think that's politics and business. But obviously, if they're not the areas that they would want to be supported, I hope to listen to them to look at areas where they want to be supported and maybe have a political voice, but also a voice on YouTube where they can discuss things like politics or things like that on YouTube, and also like things like scary stories, creepypastas, urban legends, or whatever you want to call them. Maybe they could discuss videos like that, because there's a few people who discuss those sorts of things on YouTube, but I think it'd be great to hear from Native Americans themselves or Indigenous people from the Americas about any creepypastas, urban legends, or anything like that. Excuse me, as I say, creepypastas, urban legends, or whatever you want to call them, scary stories or things like that, where they talk about them, possibly in list form, or maybe even have their own scary videos where they take cameras or whatever, whether it's visual, like where they take pictures or record them, or whether it's just storytelling, or whatever, or whether even if they don't want to be on camera, they could, as some YouTubers do, they don't have to appear on camera, but they can still like do a narration of scary stories. But I think it'd be great if it was by Indigenous people from those regions themselves, so that they benefit from their own stories and legends and things like that. So again, I'd love to hear what you think about all these ideas as ever, and try and keep it short and sweet. But yeah, I'd love for them to benefit, like through making films and books and things like that from their own stories. And in the future, I'd love to write in like a red notebook. I call it a big red notebook, but not necessarily like Chairman Mao's Communist Manifesto. This will be more for Indigenous people, and being a libertarian myself, I hope to discuss libertarian ways to support them. But I know historically it's a negative term, but to use the term red and turn it into from a negative into a positive, so it'd be like an empowering thing. But again, I'd love to hear from Indigenous people of the Americas, and anything I do for Indigenous people of the Americas, if I can help it, I would love to listen to their input. So it could be like nothing about us without us is what they could talk about. So it's like, I think they have to have a representation they have to have a voice in or how they're represented. But yeah, I'd love to have like Indigenous people networking together, Indigenous people of the Americas in this case, networking together, potentially with each other, but also with allies, being as united as possible, and also looking at how they can support each other with a political voice which is united, but also even getting more of them into politics, and getting like legal teams, lawyers and all that sort of thing, which support them around the world, perhaps even especially in places like America itself, or the Americas generally, as I say, which could support Indigenous people from the Americas, people like David Boyce, who's a lawyer, maybe he could take on, or people like that, or Aaron Brockovich, or people like that, if they're still interested in doing that sort of thing, they could take on those issues, or whoever basically picks up the mantle or says that they want to help Indigenous people politically, and also like organizations and companies that could invest in them, venture capitalists, VCs, banks, and other such businesses and whatnot, investing in Native American people, and also listening to them, as I say, and investing in their businesses, supporting them politically in all possible ways. I'd love to hear what other ideas people have about what are the best ways to support Indigenous people from the Americas. But again, I think it should be nothing about them without them being involved, basically. Nothing about them without them being involved. But yeah, so I'll try and keep it short and sweet. As I say, I think I did fairly well with my time management, and hopefully this uploaded properly. And I am out. Peace out.